welcome back to Red Ted Art. Guess what we're making today? It is fidget spinners, DIY fidget spinners that will cost you pennies to make. Now I've got different ones, but to be honest, they're all the same. I've just used different types of card and different types of decorations, to be honest. That's all it is. I'm waffling now. But aren't they cute? Aren't they super? And if you turn it around, you have a different design on this side. Really cool. Now, this fidget spinner is about this shape, here and here, not this shape. That can come another day if you want to see a video on these sort of triangular fidget spinners, but you need to leave me a comment below and let me know if you really want to see it or not. But today it's about these fidget spinners. Now I want to say one thing, and I don't want to waffle on because I know you just want to kind of see how it's made. These are toys that you've made yourself. They're made out of paper and toothpicks. Very simple, very basic. They will not last as long as the shop bought ones. Of course they won't. That's just part of the process. And sometimes they come apart, as you will see in my video actually, and then you know what? You just glue it back together again and carry on playing. It's really not a problem. But I just want to be honest because I want you to be on, I want you to understand what my crafts are like and that they really work. I also want to say that I spent quite some time looking at different ways of creating this mechanism, sort of like a non-ball bearing mechanism. And I tried to come up with a process that is easy for you guys to follow, because I obviously want crafts that are easy for you guys to make. I don't want to kind of trick you into making crafts that you can't do. And I'm hoping that this is an easy process, that you might need a little bit of help from an adult somewhere along the line, okay? So these are the easiest ones you can make, but of course that doesn't mean they're easy for everyone. Just sort of be patient, have a go, ask for help if you need to. Oh, and here's the final one. This one's still gluing, as you can see. I put a bit too much glue at the bottom, but look, this is a really cool one because it's got kind of words written on it from the cereal packet, but you'll see more about that in a minute, and I think this is really fun. Anyway, now that I've waffled for long enough, let's take a look and see how they're made. So to make your spinners, you will basically need cardboard, of any type, some coins. We've used pennies here. I think quarters work quite well as well, and a toothpick, plus a variety of glues, things to poke things with and cut. So the first thing you want to do is cut out your shape. So I need to kind of make a bit of space here because I've got loads of stuff. And look, the ones I've made here, I actually used an old cereal box, so that makes it really cheap. But you could also use, I'm going to have a go at this today. So this is an old party hat. I think it's pretty fun. We're going to experiment and do this one. Also from my cereal box, I saw that it had this the writing on it. I thought actually that could be quite cool for the center of my fidget toy. And of course you could just use pretty card. So I'm actually going to make all three, but I'm going to speed the video up as and when I cut the extra shapes, because you don't want me, to watch me do everything every single time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got this little template that I made myself. It's basically a plaster shaped that's wide enough for a coin at one end, and then I just tapered it a little bit in the middle, and that's all it is. Now if you need this as a template, please leave a comment down below and I can add it for you so you can use that yourself too. So the first thing is I'm going to position this over my word. I'm going to try and mark this out and cut it. Okay, so you saw me cut out two of each. Now the reason I cut out two is just to give it a bit more stability, because I want it to be quite stiff. But if you're doing paper, for example, you just have to do several layers until you get a nice little board feel. And this one is a little bit on the thin side, I think, but you know what, let's experiment and see if this works, and then we'll know more. Now I'm first going to glue my two halves together. I'm going to use a glue stick for it because that dries quite quickly. Cardboard glues really well with glue stick, and it won't go bendy or come apart. So it's I think this is the best glue for this kind of paper. Next, I take a pin, only because it works better with this for me. You need to find the center. If you need to get your template, fold it in half, fold it again. So find your center. If you want, lean it over the top and then take your pin and make a hole through both. So I've got my hole, and then I take my scissors and make that hole a little bit bigger. So this hole actually needs to fit a toothpick really loosely, so that when you spin it later, it spins really easily. So it's going to be nice, actually quite a big hole, yeah? Great, so that bent my needle, never mind. Next thing is to glue on your coins. Now, it doesn't really matter which sides you glue it on. Do I want the energy side or the second? I think I'm going to glue it on the energy. And this time you need a strong glue. Now I've used PVA glue like this one. It does mean, it has happened once or twice, that the coin has fallen off after a while, but you know what, we just glued it back on. If you're worried about that and you don't want to keep gluing, you could use something like Gem Tack or E3000, I think, in the US, which is a really, really super strong glue, and you could try that instead. Oh. I'm going to use the Gem Tack on this shiny paper because the PVA glue will just slide off it. It'll be okay on the paper, if that makes sense. In fact, I'll do one with the PVA glue just to prove it. Now, what I've also noticed is that sometimes the coins, when you're letting them dry, because this is like not completely flat, slide off the end. So be sure to come back and just check whilst it's drying that your coin hasn't slid off. You can usually still reposition it. It just happens sometimes, it's just one of those things. So this one's really shiny, so you can sort of see it sliding around. So I just have to make sure that whilst it dries, I kind of come back every so often and check. Now, whilst that's drying, we're going to prepare our spinning mechanism. It's actually quite simple, but can be a bit fiddly, so you'll just have to practice. I'm taking some more cardboard. Any cardboard will do. This time I'm going to, let me just make some space, cut off my cereal box, because it's worked for me in the past. Let's move these as well. Give me space. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. You know what, my kids are going to come back from school and they're going to be over the moon. You should have heard this morning the debate they had about who was allowed to take one into school and who wasn't, because I hadn't finished this video. So what you need to do is you need a circle. I'm cutting this freehand because I have experience. It's not perfect, I don't mind. You could use a coin, so you use one of your pennies to measure it out. Either's fine. It is about the size of a penny, so actually that could be quite a useful measuring device. Then I take my pin again, get it as central as possible. I mean, it's really important that this is central. Now this time you don't make the hole too big, because you want the toothpick to go through but actually stick and stay sort of stiff. So I'm going to push it, can you see, through, and then right to the end like this. Can you see that? Okay. Now what you'll need is, this is basically it. This is what this is. However, I've just put a blob of glue there just to help secure it a little bit more. So whilst those are drying, I'm going to start gluing this in place. A little bit fiddly. Oh look, you know how I said my coins might slide off? It's done it, so I'm just going to reposition it. Just reposition it. There we go. So now you can either glue it now and let it dry, or I've got another technique which I'll show you once these have all dried a little bit, of how to kind of prop it all up and dry it. So anyway. Right, and I don't know about you, but I'm very impatient, and that is taking ages to dry. So I'm going to show you another technique which we can do. Now we're going to use this as a, oh look, aren't they cute? You can find these on Red Head Art next week. This one's quite dry, so I think this is dry enough for us to finish it off. So there's two ways. Like I said, you can either glue that on first, let it dry, and then do the next step, or you can do what I'm going to do now, which is so you've got your piece like that, you're going to push it through, and then you probably saw me prepare the other circular pieces, line it up, and then carefully push it down. So you might need an adult, I can't speak. You may want to have an adult help you at this point. Now I'm going to push them quite close together, about this much, can you see? And then you test. Now make sure your coins are fully dry first. I think mine are medium dry. Okay, can it move basically without too much interruption? I think that's good. I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my glue, drop it in there. That's also one way of doing it. So get my glue, need to put that down. I'm going to add a blob, because this way you can basically glue two parts of your piece together at the same time. So I'm going to put a blob here, and I'm going to put a blob all the way around here. A bit fiddly, and I'm putting quite a lot of glue. That's okay. And then put this down again. You just plop it here and let it dry. Now, one thing to note, two things actually. One is the glue on the underneath will drip down your pipe cleaner, your toothpick. So the glue will, from gravity's point of view, get drawn down, but there should still be enough left to secure your holder. And the other thing to note is, especially with this cardboard that I've got here, the glue will leave a mark because it kind of makes it look wet. I don't know if I've got an example. Here we go, you can see here. And that's okay. You can either, like I've done here, oh no, it came off. Either like I've done here, you can add a little kind of cover to it, or like I've also done here actually, you can paint it later. But I don't think it matters. And on this one, I've just left it, and that's okay. And like I said before, this one's been played with loads. It does happen that they come apart, at which point you just add a bit of glue and you glue it back on, or you put a whole new piece on. They still work. You just have to remember, and I want to be honest with my crafts, this is not a replacement for a shop bought one. A shop bought one of course will be better, but if you can't buy a shop bought one, I think these are pretty fun. Anyway, we're going to let this dry. Remember, so they're taking a bit long to dry, but I'm impatient and I want to show you the last step, and I'll do it with this one because this one is actually the driest of the lot. By the way, the one that came apart earlier on, look, it's all fixed again, so no problem if something does come apart. Now, what you need to do is you get some scissors, or I'm going to use some wire cutters simply because they're really sharp and you've got that flat edge, and I find it easiest, but you can do it with scissors, or again, ask an adult to help you, and you literally just snip off the back here. There we go. And you're done. Now this one's still a tiny bit damp, I can see my fingerprints in there, but it's already working. Now, as I said, I'm going to let them all dry fully. I just wanted to get that bit of the video done, and then at the end I'm going to show you them all spinning. But in the meantime, that is how easy it is to make your own fidget toys. Now remember, I've also got this one. If you want to see how to make this one, and if you want me to do a template for this one, please leave me a comment below and ask for it so that I know to make it. Otherwise it'll just be these. And you know the drill, you need to add these to your playlist. You need to like, comment and subscribe. And of course, we'd love to see you again soon. Now keep watching and see them all spin.